Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I hope you like what you see. Hit like, subscribe maybe, and if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day, whenever that day is, to hang out with me and talk cross stitch. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it. I am sporting black tea this morning. I never, because of the caffeine, I very rarely do anything higher than a green tea for caffeine content. Even my coffee is decaf, which I know is a little bit, but I am going with the black tea this morning. We have a blood orange cinnamon that I am doing because I'm feeling a little, Thursday nights are my worst night's sleep. So I feel like I come to you on Friday mornings very drowsy and not 100% clear-eyed. So this morning we are going with this tea today. I hope you had a lovely night's sleep and are a little bit more awake than I am today. I made it through half the night and then we tossed and turned the rest of the night. But anyway, cross stitch, all of that stuff. The one thing I do want to say beforehand is last week I asked you about audiobooks and where you read them and how you read them and suggestions and reviews of maybe ones that you use. Thank you so much to all of you who wrote and gave information. If you too are curious or interested or want some feedback, go back and read the comments in last week's video, number 269. People talked about how they use Libby. I got an awesome review of Chirp and just different things that people do in order to, listen to their audiobooks. I also, and I think on some level I knew this, but somebody also reached out to me, not in the comments, that, there's certain libraries that you can pay a little extra, even though you don't have a library card or you don't live in their area, and you can get Libby through them. And, and the money goes to the library, and then you get, maybe a better Libby. So I'm going to look into that as well, because I've discovered like my Libby doesn't carry here in Delaware. It doesn't look like they do any magazines whatsoever. And I know some of you talk about like cross stitch magazines on there. So I'm going to do a little bit of research and see maybe I do something along those lines and have the one that's connected with my library card here in Delaware. And then maybe I also have another one somewhere else. So thank you so much to everybody who gave information, and I really would recommend kind of going through those comments if you are interested, because there's so much there. I haven't even been able to, I've read everything, but I haven't even been able to like heart or comment. I'm so far behind on my Flosstube watching, and I'm just, comments, I see them when they come in, but then I'm always like, I want to say something, so I don't want to mark it because then it won't show up, and oh, it's a thing. So I have read all of them though, and I was just blown away by how much more I can do or how I should attack and look at Libby than I was. So thank you. All right, so projects. I have 12 projects, I believe, this week. It's funny because this weekend, was it this weekend? Yes, especially Sunday. I did stitch, but I just didn't feel like it. So my numbers were a little bit lower. I did participate in the Riff-off from Whip Warriors just on my own. And I did get 8 pieces, and I did challenge myself to get closer to 300, right? Yes, 300 pieces. It might not have been 100% 300, but very close if I could get to it, versus doing something, like 100 or 200. So that also made it a little bit slower and less, but I feel like I did pretty good, and notwithstanding Sunday and not much stitching then. So let's just get started. I'm going to show you the first 8, which were part of the challenge game, and then I will show you the last 4 that were not part of the challenge at all. I started Thursday evening, I believe, in the challenge, and I worked through Sunday. I think it might have gone through Monday, but I generally cut it off on Sundays anyway, just for myself, and then just start Mondays fresh. So the Whip Warriors is a group on Facebook that is closed right now. It is a challenge group that requires participation. And each month there's some repeating challenges, some that are pop-ups, some that maybe you see every third month or fourth month or whatever it happens to be. And this one that I participated, which is called the Riff-off, is probably 3 times a year, maybe 4. I don't really remember. And it's probably my all-time favorite challenge because it's so much fun connecting. So basically, in that time period, you decide how many stitches you're going to give to each piece as you do it. They give you a, what do they call it? A theme. They give you a theme topic that this time around, for example, is beach. So you have to connect that word beach to however, to one of your projects. And then each project you connect to each other from there. You cannot repeat the prompt though. So once I've used, I don't know, whales, I couldn't do that again somewhere along the line. And the challenge is, unless you only have a couple of projects, to not repeat a project either. We know that's not a problem for me, given the number I have. So that was the challenge this week. And like I said, I got 8 of them done. So we're going to go through those first. Now, the theme of beach, that's easy for me, right? I mean, I love beachy things. So I said, I'm going to pull out something that has not seen a lot of work this year. And ultimately, I'd say it's a paper pattern, as you can see. So I don't have percentages, but I would say that it's probably at least 50%. I'm looking at it right here next to me. So it is definitely on the other side of getting it done. This is from the Signs Series Summer from Twin Peak Primitives. Now this is a little bit of a slow going one. Partially, there's quite a few mistakes. I've lost count at this point. So I always kind of have to check and double check myself every time I stitch something on this. And then one of the major mistakes was the pole is moved over, and I fixed it so that it's on top of each other, but that means other things that go into the pole will be different. So it's a little bit slow going. I think it's going to be adorable when it's finished, and I'm really liking it where it is. I'm just going to move this little table over a bit. There we go. So I like it. It's just a little frustrating sometimes, and I think that's maybe why I don't always pull it out. So that's where it is right now. As you can see, because especially down here, this stuff goes into the pole. I had to get all of that stitched before I would bring this down. And then it comes a little bit farther down here, probably about right here. But until I got this, so I know where to skip, I had to do that before I could bring that down. And then I have, actually, I don't know how on the camera you can't see very well. These do have mistakes in them. I think especially the third of the bath huts. So I keep skipping it. I know what the mistake is. I just have to pay attention and count quite a bit more than just looking at the pattern. So once I get that done, there's only a little small element there. And then that, except for the birds, I want to say everything on that row will be done then. So, and this row is completely done. Really, so almost there. And then this was already done. I wanted to finish this and get, I didn't get the glass of lemonade, but that doesn't matter as much because that won't be affected. And then we have another beach chair and kind of like the boom box. Very close to getting that done as well. Now, the one thing I will change also is in this center, I want to put Delaware rather than what's there right now. And I think, ironically, with all of the letters in the 3 things, I don't think I even have to chart any of the letters out myself. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to. It looks pretty easy, but now I just need to grab some graph paper and put it out and figure out the spacing, put that in, and then I can fill that in. I did this time around, I filled completely all the way over here with the white, kind of the outline of the wave, and did this back area here so that I could see where I was ending. I also did the little bikini, but it needs a little back stitch to attach it there. I did bring the bottom up a little bit closer to the top by, I think, just 1. It was a little bit close to this chair, and I wanted those pieces a little bit closer. So that was just a slight difference I did make. There was a mistake in the charting here, and that's the other thing. I wanted to make sure I got this part done, And then I counted across here so that I knew that my waves would finish properly, and they do. So I'm okay with that one. I got all that done. And then I did change the color of the watermelon slice. So it was charted with an orange, actually, the same orange. Did you see this book right here? That's the color DMC that the watermelon was charted for, as well as that bathing suit. And I just couldn't do that color watermelon. Did I write down? I probably did, but I don't have it on my notes here. If you were doing this and you wanted to change, let me know, and I can let you know. I pulled out my DMC. I love this, you know, my DMC book of all of the colors, and pulled out then a bunch of the flosses, saw which one went well, and I think I picked nicely. I'm really pleased with that. And then because this color was not anywhere else in the pattern, I decided to do the bathing suit in that same kind of pinky red rather than orange as it was charted, so that that color was also somewhere else in the pattern, just to make it a little bit more cohesive. This will be easy. This is all fill in. It's not going to be hard. It's just a matter of sitting down and working on it. But that's where it is. So that was the first project in the Riff-off, and that was for beach. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Oh, and I also used this. I went a little roundabout with this one, but I thought it was kind of cute. So, and it made me smile when I thought about my mom. So one of the I Spy prompts for May was, how did I word it? I think it reminded you of your mom or a mother figure. Let me see. Reminds you of your mom or a mother figure. And I was thinking about my mom, and I remember when we were kids, my mom, as many of you know, is from Ireland, and she came here when she was, I think, 19 or 20. And learned the hard way that she was just never going to tan, right? So she would go and lay out in the sun, and she would burn and then peel and burn and peel. And literally to this day, I don't think my mother has ever tanned, ever. I shouldn't say that. Maybe a slight bit of color, but for the most part, if she gets sun, she burns, and then it peels, and then she goes back and does it all over again. So she's long since, I mean, she doesn't go out much now anyway. She's got fabulous skin in her face, though, because she always took care of it. It never went out in the sun. Anyway, so we would go to the beach, and now I want to say at this point, from what my memories were, sunscreen was just starting to be a thing. You know, I mean, when I was a kid, we never sunscreened. You just ran out. And even when I was a teenager, you'd see people with baby oil or the reflective things and all that kind of stuff. But I remember that, you know, my mom learned that she couldn't tan. So she'd be at the beach, and she would be covered. Her legs would be covered with a towel. She'd have a towel over her. She'd have a hat on. So literally nothing was exposed to the sun, basically, because she knew she couldn't, right? And we would make so much fun of her, like, oh, Mom, what are you doing? You're, you know, and everything else, because kids, you know, kids being kids. And now I laugh, because when I go to the beach, because now obviously I do sunscreen, but I'm always kind of like, oh, but you know, I mean, I can kind of burn with the best of them. I always have to be careful here because my part burns all the time. I go to the beach, and I have my hat on now, and I put the blanket over my legs, and usually we have an umbrella, and so I'm kind of covered with that. And so it's come full circle. So that makes me laugh, because I can just think, you know, I'm thinking that I wouldn't be this exposed. I'd have the towel around my shoulders and everything else. So that's what made me think of my mom with that piece. Please tell me I'm not alone. Please tell me somebody else covers themselves with towels and everything else when they go to the beach. Alrighty, next. What was the next connection? So if let me see, for example, where they were. Oh, birds. That's what it is. There's birds in that one, all the kind of flying seagulls. So I decided I'm going to pull out a bird. Now, I meant to check, and I kind of just assumed. I'm not 100% sure. Well, they're called birds, right? Hummingbirds are birds, right? I mean, they just look a little bit different, but I'm going with it. It's one of those kind of, you know, you have those moments with your brain, and you're like, I know things, but I feel really silly saying these things out loud. This is one of those cases. But I pulled out, and nope, that's not what I need. I need the photos. I pulled out the Ruby Throating Hummingbirds piece that I have been working on from Boomerang Stitches. I started it during Spring Mingle at the beginning of this month, right? And I just so enjoy stitching it that whenever I get a chance to pull it out, I do. So I made that connection to birds. And here we go. I got a bunch more of this guy right here. And I wanted to bring in some more of the greens, which was so much fun. That was, yeah, 300 stitches on the body of this guy right here. But I really, every time I stitch this, I really just so enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I was able to I use Pattern Keeper. It went in seamlessly. It's just a joy to stitch, and I haven't really used it a lot since the Mingle for zoom stitching, but I could see it being a great zoom stitch because you have blocks of color and chunks. So you're not only using it digitally, but then I can also see the chunks of color and just get a lot of work done. So you may see this coming out for zooms. This is 18 count Patience from Millennial Fabrics. I thought I really wanted kind of that background, kind of blue sky idea when I looked at these. And this flower looks gorgeous. And the other one's going to, you know, there's you know, pink flowers that come down here. And then over here we come with purple. And I think that's going to look really nice against the blue too. So that's what that one looks like. And my connection now, we have a pink flower. And I've never usually done it quite that exact. Usually I would just say flowers. But this was near the beginning of the connections. This was one of the first times I didn't pre-plan my connections. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll look through all my projects and I'll give myself like 10 to 12 kind of things so I know what I'm working on that weekend. I didn't do that this time. I just completely winged it. No pun intended with the birds. But so I said, I'm going to do pink flowers just in case somewhere along the way. I doubted it, but I had another type of flower. So that was my connection between this one and, so let me put this one back. The next one, and this is the cover. This was the start. Remember, I wanted to start this one this past weekend. We started it on Friday. Did I start it Friday? Yes. It was the first thing I stitched after filming. And you can see there's pink flowers. Now, ironically, most of those I'm not stitching, but I am going to stitch this little pink flower. So I figured it was okay. I started it, and I actually, because I'm not doing all of the flowers, I decided to stitch this guy first and then figure out where I wanted to finagle some flowers. This is designed by, it's called A Silent Expression of Art is the official name, and it is designed by Kara Brown of the Elfin Forest. So in the magazine, the summer 2025 Just Cross Stitch magazine, this is what it looks like within the page. And I really liked her choice of that kind of color scheme. She used a Picture This Plus chrysalis for this, but I was inspired by that, and I wanted to find a kind of green that would go similar like that. And I did use all the called for colors. Now, it's not going to look like much, but I did do 321 stitches. So, you know, it's not a lot, but it's something. And that's his kind of back area. Because what I did on this one is I went, and you know how they show the center? I went from the top center and went from there. And I kind of dropped down a little bit more so that I know that wherever, if I want to add and how I want to add some flowers, I can. This is 18 count Barely Lime from Dove Stitch. So it is a printed fabric. And I thought that would work well. It has like a little bit of very subtle modeling. And I thought the colors would be nice with this. It's not quite as green as the model is shown, but I think it's going to look really great. I do want to pull this one out again this week because I feel like I need to make some more progress on this. And I'm just thinking about, you know how we had talked about different names last week as we're trying to name, I'm calling it this guy. I don't know. I mean, if I go with Carmen, that would, you know, be a female chameleon. But I meant to pull out all of, there was more suggestions this week, some really good ones. So again, if you would like to see some really creative, I know somebody said Iggy. I'm trying to think what some of the other ones were. I can't remember. Somebody did say, because we just had Connor's graduation, to name the chameleon Connor. I thought that was cute. I just want to keep singing Karma Chameleon in my head all the time. So I'm close. That's why Carmen is in the running for me. But if you would like to see some really more clever names, I would say go and look at the comments as well. Really great comments this week. So many things, so many fun things. You will see this one again next week. I would like to, at the very least, get another 300 stitches in, maybe a little bit more. We'll kind of see. I mean, there's obviously multiple colors here. Now, you may ask, well, it's, if you've got a paper version of it, how are you counting your stitches? Because I know sometimes I get asked that. I don't do everything digital. I do quite a bit paper, and I just make working copies. I do love digital. It just depends on the type of pattern. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be tethered to my device. It's easy to read. I'm just going to do it as a paper. When I do a working copy, and I make a working copy of everything, paper. I don't just look at the actual original pattern. When I've stitched something, no matter what it is, after the strand, so I do whatever strand or whatever color I'm doing, and then I highlight those pieces that I've just stitched. And as I highlight, I count. And then I go to either my phone or my iPad. They both have notes on them. And I have a constant running Monday through Sunday, whatever it is, set of weekly stitching, I think I call it. And each day a headline is there. And then I just put, say it's 36, and then I'll put chameleon. And then I keep adding until I stop stitching that day on that one. Add all the things together, and I know how much I stitched on the piece. So that's how I count, even though I don't have a digital device. I figure, and I never did before when I started with working copies, but I said to myself, well, I'm actually highlighting it. I'm literally crossing it off as I go. So counting it is, for me, super easy as I'm doing it, and it's 2 seconds to put in my notes. So that's how I do it. I know there's other ways that people do it, but that was what works for me. So there it is. You will most likely see it again next week. All right, so let me put this back in here. All right, next. That was, okay, so that was the chameleon is an animal with a tail. So I wanted to find a piece that had another animal with a tail. And if you look right here on Gentleman Quaker, we have a little dog and he has a little tail. So that's what got me to this piece. This is why it's so much fun. I mean, how am I going to connect my silent expression of art chameleon to Gentleman Quaker? Two very different designs and ideas and designers, and it's just so fun. An animal with a tail. And let me show you where I am. That's right where. This is 18 count. What is this? Benevolent? It's one of those words I have trouble saying. Benevolent Buttercup from Those Missing Stitches. And I plan on doing the lady as well. And I wanted to do them on the same fabric. And so I thought this was perfect to use both colors. I haven't chosen what that accent color will be for hers. Now, this I thought was interesting. I'd give it a try. I am using DMC Floche for the black. I thought, well, it's only, I can do one strand. Let me pull out. I always like to show because I know some people are not aware of what Floche is. So this is, I've cut it down already. This is what it is. I just pull a single, you pull a single strand. It's single stranded. That's what I'm doing, one strand on the 18 count. I know some people feel like that's a little too bulky for them and they prefer it on 16. I've never tried it on doing it over 2 on something, so I really can't talk as to how that would work. But that's what it looks like. And what I was curious about is I wanted to mix it with something that wasn't Floche. So far, I've only used my Floche basically as a monochromatic piece. Well, what would it look like if I combined it with something else? And I'm using, what am I using here? Summer Sky. This is, it's not exactly neat at the moment. I didn't put it back on one of those holder thingies. drops, whatever they're called. That's the one I chose to do for the blue. But I think if you, and I guess there's probably no way I can really show it super close, but you can see this element right here has both the floche and the variegated DMC. And I have to say, looking at it and coverage, one doesn't look, and maybe that's just me and my bias, but to me, one doesn't look much different than the other. So I'm really thrilled with the idea that if I wanted to use, for example, either black or white, especially floche, one stranded on a piece, I can mix and match it, and I'm okay with the look. That would obviously be something you'd have to decide on your own if you liked that look or not. But I actually am really, really pleased with this experiment, and so this is another way I can use kind of the floche. And I started the gentleman actually, and I filled in some more of the blue. I wanted to do not just the black, so I wanted to do, and I had quite a bit. I had to fill in the rest of this element. I had to finish the blue here. I had to do the blue here. And then many of you, I asked about, because remember how I said I'm not doing the alphabet on either one of them. And I said I didn't know what to do up here. And some of you, my first thought had been, oh, maybe I'll just do another motif, which is what some of you had suggested. But then a bunch of you had suggested, because I'm also doing the gentleman and the lady, why not do Mo's initials here and mine on hers, and do it that way, which I'm going to try. Mine will be fine because hers is along, actually you can see it right here. You can see hers is along the side. It's going to be fine space-wise. Mo's initials are MMO. The M is wide. I'm going to have to count out and chart out this, and I think it's going to be pretty close to each element. If I had thought about it, I might have moved this element over maybe a titch or two, but it's done. But I think I might actually do that and put MMO here. So thank you for the suggestions. I thought about each and every one of them and tried to figure out what I wanted to do. And I think that's the way I'm going to work it. And then not do the alphabet at the bottom. Keep that completely off. So this is fun. I am a huge fan of Jardin Prive. If you haven't been watching me, you may not know that, but I really love Jardin Prive patterns. I love their Quakers especially, actually. And I'm just super excited to get going and doing some more on this. And I like my choice of the Summer Sky from Classic Colorworks. I think that goes nicely, so I'm really pleased. Kind of proud of myself on that one. All right, so let me put my floss back in here. Put that back in here. And I just don't know if I'm going to go more pinkish or purplish with the woman. I'm going to wait till this one's done and then pull out a bunch of colors and figure it out from there. Okay, so that piece had Quakers. It was Gentleman Quaker. So that was what I used as my connection, was one piece with a Quaker to another piece with a Quaker. And if you remember from last week, I kind of forgot to start my pumpkin birthday stitching. Oh, no, it was the Dark 13, I'd forgotten. The Friday was the 23rd. And so that was the day I would do my pumpkin birthday stitching. So I did some of it on Friday and I carried it over to Saturday because if you're new, in October is when I have my birthday, and every year I do a hashtag pumpkin birthday stitch along. So, and it's anything with a pumpkin or pumpkin color and all that fun stuff. So now I try every month to kind of move some of those along because I keep starting them in October, but then I haven't finished many of them. You saw this last week because I did do it for my Halloween stitching, and I realized how close I am, so I did pull it out again. I didn't get it finished, but I am closer, and I have an idea of one thing I want to do that's slightly different than called for. So this is what it looks like. It's Halloween Quaker from the Heart, Needleart by Wendy. And this is where I am with it. This is, what is this? I was going to say 36. I've never stitched on 36 at all. It's 18 count Monster Mash from Color and Cotton. And you can see this is it. That's the width. That's the length. We are almost there. This time around, I think it was a little dark when I was working on this. Yeah, so I did, and my eyes were tired. It was Friday night, and then Saturday morning, which, so I carried it over from one day to the next. And I think Saturday morning, I was like, I want to do the bottom, just get that done. I am stitching it with DMC, except I don't know how well the camera shows it. In person, it shows it really well. This pumpkin head right here, I used, I think it's pumpkin spice, yep, from Stitchy Stuff Co. And I really, really like how that came out. Otherwise, I've just used all DMC. But the other part, down here, you'll see, you've got the greenery, and then you have these flowers. Now, they are charted. If you want to do the DMC, I think they're this brown right here. And I'm not sure I want brown flowers. Now, I know that's kind of the color scheme of this, so I'm okay with that idea. And I didn't want to do the same. I said, well, I could do the same pumpkin spice, but they'd be right by the pumpkin, and I kind of want the pumpkin to stand on its own with its color because I really like it. I was thinking, all right, well, I could do a DMC, or this is where because I generally don't buy called for variegateds. I buy variegated colors that I like, and then I find places where I can use them. I'm trying to find where it is. Oh, here we go. It's one of these, I think. So then I said, I'm going to look through what I have of variegated flosses and see maybe. These two are on the reddish orange realm. So because I obviously, I don't want to veer too far from the color scheme. This one is called, this one right, all right, because you can tell I don't use this very often. This one here is Sedona, the darker one, and that's from Dying for Cross Stitch. And then this one is Bonfire from Color and Cotton. Those are my two choices, and I think I'm going to use one of those to do the flowers and introduce that color. I think that it's close enough to this color scheme. I don't know if I'd go darker, so that way it would stick out away from the pumpkin, and the pumpkin would definitely have his own color. And then this also kind of goes along the brown themes because it is darker, and that way it kind of blends in with that a better. So that's the one I'm leaning towards, is this Sedona. But I mean, at this point, I did the whole bottom. I got those letters in the alphabet. So where's the chart? I don't think I have many letters left. I have one row of letters over here, greenery and flowers, and that's it. At this point, I probably won't pull it out until maybe June 13th for Dark 13 stitching, but I'm thinking I might be able to get this one done this June, if I remember to pull it out on the day. That's the problem, and that's part of why I never have done this before this year, because I forget what the date. I never know the date. I'm lucky if I know the day, to be honest with you, especially a week like this when Mo had Monday off, and then I was confused. He took all last week off, so we were really confused. We didn't know what day it was at all. But I'm liking it when I remember. Sometimes it's a day or two late. Okay, so we went from a connection there to, what was my next connection? I still kept for Pumpkin Birthday. I wanted to do one other thing for Pumpkin Birthday. I did this on Saturday. So the connection was pumpkins. That's an easy one, right? And Mary from Mary's Stitching Corner and I are stitching this together. And I think, well, Mary is done. And I think Mary had posted it on her Instagram. Maybe. That might, or no, Mary might have just sent me a picture to show. Yeah, she might have just done that and shown me she was done. And I said, well, I'm inspired. Now I want to pull this out because I'm maybe 50% done. And if I don't pull it out, it's never going to get done, right? And Mary's looked awesome. Mary actually, her video came out this week. I think it was Wednesday. Go watch. If you want to see beautiful full finishes and a lot of stitched finishes, oh my gosh, it's just beautiful, all sorts of gorgeous stitching eye candy. That's Mary's Stitching Corner. As long as the links work, she's linked below. If not, she's listed. Either way, you'll see Mary's name. So this is Sampler Seasons Autumn from Blueberry Ridge Design. And we started this together last, I want to say September. Both Mary and I want to stitch all 4 seasons. And we are starting in July, Christmas. And then one of the Halloween ones, I think we're going to start in September of this year. Now, if you would like to see an awesome take on how these are being stitched, go see Janet from Janet Jabber. Janet has taken a variegated, I want to say it's a variegated DMC. And you know how there's like 4 different colors in those variegated sometimes? I don't remember which type it is. And you can see with charts what it is. Then she pulled those colors and she's putting them in the pattern along with it. It's beautiful. Such a cool idea. Awesome job, Janet, on those. But here's mine. Now, I actually, this is, you know, I generally don't do a lot of kind of browns sort of with my fabrics, but I had gotten this. I had gotten the Dragon Box from Bestitchme. And what was this called? Dragon's Lair, I think it is. I don't remember. 3 pieces of, I don't remember how many fabrics were in there. And I said, well, what could I use that for? And I thought, well, this is perfect. I decided to pull out, I took from Stitchy Stuff Co. I ordered, let me see what it's called. I have the name in here. A hank of Fire Lily. So that's the name of it. Fire Lily from Stitchy Stuff Co. And I am just stitching away on it. I think I'll have enough because I think I'm 50% and I still have quite a bit of floss left. If I could figure out where my stitching is. There we go. I did this time around, I said, I've got to come over all the way here. This is one of those pieces where I could use one of those boards because it's just wide enough that my hands don't work with it. That's the corner, right? Let me see. Well, that's the corner of this top. So there's actually another little bit here that starts the whole bottom here. The top and this side border are the same, and then the bottom and this side border will be the same. I really wanted to get that done. It's been sitting there with that for ages, so I decided I had to get that one going as well. And we also have, this is a giant pumpkin here. And so I started to work on that as well. I get my stitching in on that. Again, it's more than you think. But this is really fun. I'm really loving the Blueberry Ridge designs. I know Mary and I have said the same thing, how we've just, I don't remember seeing them. When is this? 2023. So I'm not exactly sure if they've been around how much more before that. But gosh, and I'm going to actually show you something. I think it's Blueberry Ridge. Let me see. No, it's not. It's something different. But I don't know. There's something about, as I keep seeing more of the Blueberry Ridge patterns, I'm kind of like, oh, I like that, and I like that. And I'm sure you'll see more of those in the future. All right. What was my connection? All right. Sampler Seasons Autumn had those houses. So I made the connection to house. Now, at this point, we were talking, it was the 24th and 25th was this past weekend. And that's when I tried to do a little bit of Christmas stitching. I don't have a ton of Christmas pieces, but what I do have are not smalls, and so they linger. Now, don't get me wrong. This one is not humongous, but it's not a small little ornament kind of piece when I say not smalls. So I've been really trying this year to pull some of those out as well. Now, what I'm stitching on is a different color than the original, so trying to find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. This is Christmas Band Sampler, and it's charted by Lost in Stitches Designs. And I just loved the look of it, and I thought it would be so much fun to stitch. And I think I'm going to, unless I get really tired of the red, but I really like, I think it's 816 I'm using. It's really, I'm loving the red. And so I'm kind of color completing at the moment, as you'll see here. Here it is. Isn't this fun? This is 18 count Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie. And I just didn't have it in me. And also this was Saturday night. And again, Saturday night and Sunday morning. My eyes were kind of a little buggy and not able to see very well. So I said, I'm not going to stitch on this. I'm going to stitch on this. And between Saturday night and Sunday morning, I got this entire piece done. And then we also just did the line here. I will go back. I mean, this border is the same as this one. And then, you know, this would be the same as those 4. So this is all I have for the border left to do. And then there's 2 skinny bands and then a small band and then a larger band at the bottom. But I'm really, really enjoying it. So besides this red, then there's a tiny bit of 2 different shades of green and a little tiny bit of black. Lisa charted the date here. She's got 2023 listed on the design, but she gave us all of the numbers. So whenever I finish it, I don't know if it'll be 25 or 26. I suppose I could put the 20, the 20 here. It's going to be this decade. But it's a lot of fun to stitch if you haven't thought about it, but you like the looks of it. I'm really enjoying it. It's really pretty to do, and I'm loving this 8/16, to be honest with you. So that was the second to last one. And what was my connection there? Oh, snowflake. So they're red, but the design has snowflakes on them. And so the last one I pulled out was I connected it to my Christmas town. Yay! So this is from Stitchrovia, and I am stitching this and using this for Andrew, the Runner Stitcher's Whip into Shape kind of summer stitching challenge, marathon stitching challenge. So Andrew is training to run a marathon in August, and we multiply the number of miles he runs each day by 10, or some people do by 100 or whatever they're doing, or you go by the time it took him to run that day and you stitch that number of stitches. However you want to do it, right? It's all in fun, and take a piece and see after the through the actual race day how much you can get done. And this is my oldest piece, and it was Christmas, and it wrapped up the Riff-off really well. I mean, I stitched on it Sunday, and then I didn't do a ton on Sunday, so it did get some more work on Monday, or one of these days this week, because I needed to catch up on Andrew's miles there. So that's what it looks like right now. This is an 18 count opal, and I'm using all the called for DMCs. I'm not sure where I would even go to try to change some of hers. I've always been a big fan. So Stitchrovia's Emma Congdon. Her color choices are always so much fun and bright, and I really, really enjoy it. I'm in the weeds in the sense of there's a ton of color changes at this point, so I think this time around, for example, last time I stitched it, I was pulling all the parts that had this kind of, let's say, tealish color. I don't know if I got all of them yet. There was some in the tree, and then I'm going back. I know I did some of the greenery that went with one of the greens. I did that. I don't know. I'm just going along as we go. I am not pulling this out on a daily basis. So Andrew updates his, I don't know, is it a spreadsheet? I'm not exactly sure what the chart is called, on a daily basis after he runs. And I am caught up through, let me check where's my page? My whip into shape page. So that's my whip into shape page. There's the road that Andrew is running on. And I am caught up through the 28th. I don't know if he's had a rest day since, but each of the colors that I color in designates, like for example, the deep purples are the rest. And then we have 1 to 5 miles, 6 to 10. 6 to 10 would be the blue. And then there was a half marathon in here. So that, obviously that. And then there was one day of 11 miles. So 11 to 15 is this green. So we are almost done with this month's, and I'll probably look this weekend and see what I'm at as the month finishes and kind of finish the month. And then I'll show you my book where I am with the challenges when I do plans. There. So that is that. It's hard, I think, from week to week for you to see where the changes are and everything. And then especially if I go back and do all the white, it might be really difficult to see, but there's a lot of white, like on the tree, the white, and then there's a light blue that is designated with snow. I know over here, it's kind of cool. I have to stitch the white here. This is a snowman, so I can see his hat and his scarf and the shape of him. I just need to stitch him. At times, this probably won't be noticeable, but I mean, we've still got through mid to late August, right? And maybe in August, I start upping it if I'm getting really close to a finish on that one. We'll see. So that was where the Riff-off ends. And then I have 4 more pieces to show you. This one I am stitching 100 stitches a day until it's finished. There was like a crazy hope that it might have been finished this week, but no. I might, if I keep up with it this week, you might get it finished next week, but that doesn't count back stitching and stuff. This is Fish and Chips from Long Dog Sampler. I want to say I'm at 95%. I did try to do a quick look last time I was on Pattern Keeper just to see, so I'd know where I was ending before showing it to you. And here it is. This is 18 count. It's a blue-green. It was from a blue-green pack from Dying for Cross Stitch back in 2023 in November. And this time around, come over here for a minute. This is the corner that had, not counting border, this is the corner that has stuff to stitch. So I did, finished out the fish and I worked on the ship a little bit. There is a kind of a leaf and floral, actually oh no, it's kind of like a floral element right here. Almost like a thistle, it looks like, that kind of flower. And then I have all of I did quite a bit of border stitching as well. So the dotted line does not go on the bottom. It's only on 3 sides, and it goes and finishes with this fish. So I got all of that done, and I did some of the double border here. And I want to say I still have another line on this border. I'm going to do one all the way across and then do the one below it. So I still have that to do as well. That would be some easy stitching, to be honest with you. If I just don't feel like what I might do is one day just work down here and see what I can get done and do that. And maybe if it's a couple strands of, this is DMC White Blanc, it's Blanc Floche. Floche does also come in B5200, which I didn't realize at the time, but I think the white looks fine. 2 strands would give me a little over 100 stitches because I can get 50 to 64-ish or so on one of the strands. So I might each day, if I can do that, hopefully I can get it finished and then go back. And most of the back stitching is up here by the lighthouse. I have a bunch to do there. I don't know if there's any more that I have to do because I had already done the back stitch I'm doing in sulky. And I tried and practiced that already to see how the sulky worked with the floche. And I think it looks good because the floche is very thick. Trying to back stitch with the floche, which I did up here, is a disaster. So I'm going to keep it though. I'm keeping my disaster just as a reminder. But that's what it looks like. So maybe next week we might have a big finish. I started this one for my New Year, New Start, January of 2024. So if I can get it done in June, then that's an 18-month. That's pretty good for one of my New Year, New Starts because they're usually, well, this year's was much bigger, right? Black Roses will not get done in 18 months. That's going to take longer than that. But what's really nice is this right here, this piece is part of my 4-piece rotation of 500 stitches every 4 weeks. So once this one gets finished, then I'm going to slide in something else. I don't know what yet. It might be Black Roses. It might be Cinderella. It kind of depends on what I feel like. So we'll see. Alrighty. I have no idea why I pulled this one out. This is from the book Cross Stitch for the Earth by Emma Congdon, who, again, like I said, is Stitchrovia. This is the piece that I'm working on. She doesn't have, as many of you will hear from other people, she doesn't really name them in her books. I just call it Difference You Make. I started this on Earth Day of 2024. I would really like to get it done this year. It kind of sat for a little bit, which is why Earth Day of 25 didn't work, but ooh, it's getting to be that kind of funny light now. It's a funny, odd day today, weather-wise. And now things are going to look a little bit brighter, bounce off. If I go back here, yep, that's the green right here. This is 18 count fresh cut, the light version from Dying for Cross Stitch. And if you come up just so you can see the stitching, and I'll try not to have it blow out too much. And I finished up, except for the eyes, the birds are done now. I had, oh no, nope, this tail has a little bit of that color. I'm waiting until it comes out here. But they've got their legs now and everything like that. I did all of the, kind of the shadowing to the word difference. And then I started to take some of those colors around down here as well. So that's where it is. At this point, I have this flower comes down and around, loops here. The bee, actually, I might have worked on the bee this week too. The bee is actually off-centered how it's designed, but it's designed that way. I checked, it wasn't a mistake. So yeah, so we have 2 flowers. This is partial of a butterfly, 2 butterflies, and then some swirlies at the end. And then I'll fill in up here and we'll be good. That would be awesome. I would love to have this one be a 25 finish. And I have thought about framing this one just because I really love the idea that, you know, never underestimate the difference you make. I've always thought, you know, if I go somewhere, sometimes I think I might get criticized for this, but I just try to smile at everybody. I try to just say hello. You know, yesterday I was pulling out and our garbage was being, the guys are very nice. What they do is when they do the garbage, they actually bring it up right close to the garage. And I opened up my window and I said, thank you. And he kind of looked at me a little weird, but I was like, thank you, and a smile. And I just always think, you know, sometimes somebody just might need a smile and you just don't know what kind of difference you'll make giving somebody that just hello or whatever. So I am a big proponent of that. I try not to be grumpy out and about. I mean, Lord knows I'm grumpy here at home, but I try not to too much out and about. I can't say I always succeed, but I try to be kind of friendly and kind out and about if I can. So I feel like that I really do subscribe to that idea, and that sometimes it doesn't take much. Just a quick smile or a quick acknowledgement somebody might have just been having the worst day, and that just might be enough to just, you know, lift them up a little bit. Okay, so that's why I think it would be nice if I could, and I think I would try to pull, I don't know, 2 ways. I might try to find like a really deep hunter green to play off the green of the fabric. That might be pretty versus trying to pull a color out of the pattern. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know how easy it would be to find a hunter green. I know I could paint it, but you know, that takes away from stitching time. You know how that works. Alrighty. I had not pulled this one out for a while. Where is he? Actually, it's she. Where is she? There she is. This is called Celtic Dragon. It's from 2x2 Stitch Art. I am stitching her in the colors of Segale from Fourth Wing. She's Zayden's dragon. She is done. I am currently working on this monster here of a moon, and I'm not going to do the border. I know you all many of you said you got to do the moon. It's going to look great, and I hear you, but oh man, if I had just stopped with her, I'd be done. This thing is a monster. So that's where she is. And as you can see, what I would like to do, this, I am using variegated flosses. This one is called She's So Blue. I thought that was ironic, from Roxy Floss. And this one's is Planetarium from Roxy Floss. The Planetarium does not have as much variegation as the She's So Blue, which meant I feel perfectly fine trying to start to outline the entire thing and then just do fill in. Because how awesome would that be as a zoom stitch if I'm just filling in blue, blue, blue. Well, that's where I am. And yeah, I got, how much did I get on this one? Over 400 stitches on the moon. I know it doesn't necessarily look like it, but I don't even want to know how many stitches. I don't think because I did get this one in Pattern Keeper, and I don't think I'm even halfway done yet. So she herself was not halfway of the pattern. This is 18 count Phoenix from Bestitchme. I started this for the hashtag Year of the Dragon Sal last February. I might have gotten the dragon done within the year, you know, from February to February. I can't remember, or close if I didn't, but obviously there's a lot more to go with it. So I just pull it out, and I will continue to pull it out and kind of outline as much I can. And then this will be a perfect stitch for whenever I just want. And maybe if I'm in the car. Oh, that would be good car stitching too once the outline's done. And then the very last piece I did was one of my 4, because I am determined to get these done. And again, go see Mary. I'm not going to tell you why, but go see Mary. I started stitching this, it will be 2 years the first day of summer this year, because I looked it up. I was talking with Mary, and we couldn't remember if it was 2 years or 3 years. And it was 2023. Beth, the steadfast stitcher, I knew Beth was starting it, and she had said, oh, you want to start at the first day of summer? I said, sure. And Mary, I know, joined us, and there were other people. Amy from Renewing Stitches joined us. Amy's doing a really cool version of hers. And then other people who have finished it. And I'm sorry, I'm forgetting others who are stitching it at the moment. Those are the ones. It's 2 years now, and my brain is mush. I'm lucky if I remember many things anymore. But it's not going to get done before the 2 years. But I'm hoping before we get to the 3rd year mark to have it finished. And the entire outline is done. Totally done. But look at that. How full coverage that is. And I'm not even done with the top yet. And that is legit full coverage. There's a lot of stitching in this. So that's why I'm not getting too optimistic. I mean, I do 500 stitches a month. So you're talking a minimum of 6,000 a year. But, and I don't know how many is in there because I do this with paper. I don't have this one on Pattern Keeper. And so as a whole, this is what it looks like. 18 count Nantucket Sky, one of my favorite blues. And again, I always say this, that's the 18 count version. I don't know what the other counts look like, from Fabrics by Stephanie. I always make sure I have Nantucket Sky in my set of blues because it is just beautiful. And what did I work on? This time I worked on building the ship. So I had to do all of the outline of the kind of the sails, and then I did some of them filling in with the white. That was what got me to the 500. I also filled in, you're not going to be able to see it very well against this right now, but I did fill in some ocean. I figure I better start doing some of that as well, because otherwise I'm going to be stuck with just that blue. Now, I do want to change. You've seen other people do some changes with the mermaid. I'm leaning towards the sea turtle. Someone did say that they did see somebody make a scuba diver out of it, which was kind of a cool idea. I think the sea turtle I'm going to use, although I do have a second small one that I don't know which one is smaller, because obviously, you know, you've got a limited space here. What I'm going to do, once I get that done, and maybe this part with the whale, I'm going to figure out and do the sea turtle, and then that means if I have to move some of the other fish or other elements around it, I can, because I don't want to get too many things stitched in there and then really kind of be like, oh no, this is not really going to fit. So that'll be some kind of math and laying out I'll need to do. This is tough because with the pattern, paper pattern, this is the top and the bottom, like halfway through the houses, you've got 2 page breaks, and then you've got some page breaks this way. There's a lot of page break stuff going on. I almost want to do some cutting and pasting, which I know a lot of people do with the page breaks. I feel like I might have to at some point if it gets a little bit hard. But I figured I better focus on this and work my way. I'm not going to do the clouds because I feel like my fabric already kind of says clouds to it. So, I mean, in theory, you'd think, well, you only have the center, Laura. There's no reason why that can't get done this year. But I will remind you, it's more than you think. So we will see. We'll see what happens. But I enjoy, you know, Spring Quaker and Summer Quaker, 2 of the 4. And I've really liked how this is working. I'm not tired of them yet. That's the one thing I got worried about was, would I get so tired of working on them because they're coming out once a month? But because it's 500 and done, and then I don't see it again for another 4 weeks, it seems to be working well. Now, at some point, I might also start pulling them out for some challenges as well. That might only be like a 200 or 300 stitches, but at least it might pull it along a little faster if I feel like it needs it. All right, so that was my stitching this week. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun stitching. I love the Riff-off. I would do the Riff-off myself once a month. And maybe one weekend I just plan on doing it because it's so cool. And maybe I do that 1 week just to see how I connect my pieces or something or other. I don't know. I really like how it just, and this time around I tried to do some different connections because I find I fall into the same connections each time I do it, which is fine. I'm getting those pieces done, but I don't need to make the lighthouse connection each time, or like there's a few that I feel like I always do. So this was kind of fun. I changed it up a little bit. All right, so what is happening in the next month. We are May 30th. I was about to say March. No, we are May. We are almost halfway through the year. So this is my challenge book, and I have released the I Spy. I Spy is a challenge that I do, and I come up with just 10 different prompts that then you try to spy them somehow or other. Or sometimes you have to, for example, I'll give an example for a second, because sometimes they might be a bit confusing. You just find them on your project. You decide if it's just 10 stitches or 1,000 stitches or a day or a week. However you want to do it. I do 200 stitches per prompt. My favorite prompt, which I'm really going to love, is, where is it? Something mentioned in a dad joke. So if you don't, dad jokes are basically corny jokes, small little corny jokes, if you've never heard of that term before. And if you Google dad joke, you will just get tons and tons of them. And I meant to Google, and there was one actually that mentioned frogs and toads, which I thought would have been appropriate for us stitchers, but with the frog, but I forgot to write it down. But I've seen a couple people have already said what their dad joke example is going to be, and I've already gotten some chuckles. So that's going to be one of my most favorite prompts, because we're going to hear all sorts of dad jokes there. I don't think any of the others, when I say a scallop shape design, I don't mean scallop as in the fish scallop. I mean an actual shape design of a scallop. I feel like that one's going to be hard for me. I do have the magazine monthly acrostic all set and ready to go. Carolyn releases it, gosh, by the middle of the month. I try to give you about 3-4 days, because I have to think of all those, and I usually do it right near the end. I work better under pressure at times. I do have, I'll set this page, which has my focus event, which is a Whip Warriors event, my Halloween stitching for Dark 13, Pumpkin Birthday, Christmas stitching, and then Stride and Sal, which is also Whip Warriors. And then I have the road that Andrew's running on for June all set. And I changed the color of his baseball cap this month. I'll do that each month, actually. So that is all set and ready to go for my Whip into Shape stitching. And so far, that's it. I don't know what other challenges are going to be out and about, but that's what I've got so far. You do know that, because I've talked about this enough, that from Fine Frog Stitching, Strawberry Goose Witch, we're starting, I know Mary is starting it from Mary's Stitching Corner. I believe Karen from the Stitching Owl. Karen, are you starting this one as well? I'm going to link Karen anyway, just because I did see, Karen is a Canadian who runs the Canadian Swaps. And I believe I just saw a video. I didn't watch it because I'm not in Canada, but I think she released info for the new swap. So if you are interested in that, go check out Karen's channel, The Stitching Owl, because, you know, she has that information for you all out there. But anyway, I'm stitching this one. We're starting it June 24th, because that's when the designer is releasing the digital version for anybody who would like to do it digitally rather than buying the paper. So there's that. And then the first day of summer, I know for a fact Karen and Mary are also stitching this with me. Let me go to photos. I have to figure out fabric on this one. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Well, I think blue would be a no-brainer for me anyway, right? Most of you would say that. This is Shack on the Shore by Flossabilities. So this is the second in their line with Cabin in the Woods, which I am not stitching, but when this one came out, Karen said, "Ooh, you want to stitch that?" And I said, "Yep, that seems so much fun." So we are going to stitch that starting the first day of summer, if you'd like to join. And then I talked about starting this, and when I get to what I bought for shopping, we'll talk about this some more. But this is Real Comfort by Modern Folk Embroidery, and I'm not doing the bottom, so I'm stopping right there with the houses. I still am pulling this one out. This is summer now, right? Almost June. I know the first day of summer is not till almost the end of June, but I always feel like it's summer by the time we hit June. So there's this one, which is the Blue Jays Summer from the Seasonal Couriers, Robin Pickens. And if you're new, I don't stitch the entire piece. I've stitched 2 of these. I will only stitch the blue jay and the flower above it. I don't even think I'm going to stitch the flower to the side. I think I'm just going to do this element right here. So that'll make it a pretty quick stitch. I need to figure out fabric. I mean, my first instinct would have been blue, but I just have to make sure, maybe a Nantucket Sky. I have to make sure the blues, I'll have to pull the flosses and see how they work with that. I've had this one, and I've seen, oh, there's somebody on my Facebook page that is stitching this. This is Quaker Blue Whale from Samplers Revisited, or she finished the whale and she's doing the crab now, and it looks amazing. I want to do it in the blue version, or bluish grayish version, but I don't know what floss yet, or fabric yet. So I want to do it in June, but I need to get going on that. I kind of want to do it in a bluish gray, and I'm kind of leaning towards maybe finding a fun variegated bluish gray. So if you have a favorite that you think would be kind of cool, and if I do it more that way, then I could probably do a bluish fabric again. So we'll see. It's not like I don't have any blue fabrics, right? And then this is the other one. I don't think I'm going to start it in June, but I think I'd like to start. I was going through what I had as a list for, this is what I thought was Blueberry Ridge, but it's not. It's Pansy Patch. They kind of remind me of each other a little bit. This is Blackbird Sampler. I would stitch it in this, what was this done in? Charcoal, but it kind of looks bluish to me. So I kind of like that idea. So that might be a summer thing, or I may wait for September and do it as a sampler then. So that's a possibility if you have it and you want to stitch this. I'm not going to say June at this point, but I could say sometime this summer if you were thinking about it. But I pulled it out just to kind of get it in my radar. So those are my ideas for some June stitching. We'll see. I mean, Fine Frog and Shack on the Shore definitely happening. So is Real Comfort. The rest of them, we'll have to see for fabric and floss if I can figure it out. Alrighty. So shopping. Speaking of shopping, what did I buy? Where's my? I bought one digital pattern. I had said I'd wanted to stitch this. Some people had bought it and started it at Spring Mingle, and it is, I want to call it something different all the time. Snackle Lantern from Boomerang Stitches. So I picked this one up. I was thinking of using that purple fabric that I'm using for Haunted Library. I just have to see, there's a couple of, I might have to change some of the lollipop colors down that are at the bottom there. It depends on where it falls in the fabric. But I thought that might be kind of cool against these colors. When I'm starting it, I don't know. But I picked it up because I'm enjoying the Hummingbirds from Boomerang. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to get this one. So I bought that. I have the Fabric of the Month from Bestitchme. And this was May. We're still in May. Okay. We're near the end, but we're still there. So if you do not want to see it, please look away. I'm going to show you the tag, because sometimes the tags, you could never tell, right? This one you could kind of. And if I don't mind spoilers, to be honest with you. I kind of like them. Do you? But I know some of you really love to be surprised. So look away right now. I'm going to show the name of it first. That's the name of it. Now I get 18 count all the time. So remember that. So what mine's looking like is 18 count Ada. And that's what it looks like. Not quite as stark, but there is modeling. Isn't that amazing? I have no idea what I'm doing for it. Okay, I've put it down. Absolutely amazing. Got to think about that one. Very, very cool. Then Pirate and Robin, they were having a birthday sale. So I think they were 25% off their flosses. So I said, I'm going to try and order some, because I'm thinking for this one, I kind of want to do something different. Now, I'm only showing you, a couple of them I bought like more than one strand, because, you know, I'm afraid if I don't buy one and or if I don't buy more than one, if I buy just one and I run out, I won't get the same variegation, right? But I'm only showing you the one of the colors. Now, before I get to, you know, I have a couple different wildly swung areas that I was thinking about for this one. But I did pick up, and I'm just going to use the back of this to show. I wanted a kind of a deep, rich brown. And so this one's called pecan or pecan, whichever you want to, pecan, however you want to say it. I would say here, we'd probably say pecan. But if I was to say, it might be closer to say pecan pie. I don't know now. Because I'm thinking too hard about it. But anyway, that's what the brown is. It's a very beautiful kind of rich sort of brown. So I picked that one up. Now, oh, this one I was not going to use either, but I thought this was just a fun color. This is called Hibiscus. And look at that. It's really, it's leaning into the reds, and it's just a really fun red. I said, well, that's fun. I don't have a lot of like really fun reds. So I picked that one up. Then I was leaning towards a teal. I thought that would be really pretty on this. And I picked up, this is called Ocean. And I also, so I picked that one up, but I am doing, it's Modern Folk Embroidery, the Peacock Tree. It's not Pirate and Robin, it's Stitchy Stuff Go, but it's Kingfisher, which is also a tealish. And I said, I don't want to have double teals. So I think this one, which is gorgeous, is not going to happen for this, but could happen for something else in the future. If I want to stay with the blues, I picked this one up, which is called Lapis, which is beautiful. It's a really kind of deep, kind of bluish, but still light, not a dark blue. So that is in the running, but I thought of going a completely different direction. And I saw this one and I said, I'm going to order this because I could see this if I pick, depending on what fabric I pick. So this one is called Boysenberry. Look at that. I don't know if it's going to come out. It's a deep, kind of a deep fuchsia is the best way I could describe it. It's not pink. It's not purple, but it's kind of that combo. So what if I stitch this on maybe like a pink, a very pale pink fabric or something along those lines? I think that might be kind of cool. I haven't quite stumbled upon that yet, and I have to lay this down on some fabrics, but that is my thought. It would actually be, any of these colors would actually also look good on the Benevolent Buttercup from Those Missing Stitches, because it's kind of that creamish, which would look nice. We'll see. So this is the one in the highest part of the running, but I'm not 100% sure. If you stitch this, I mean, like I said, I do so much in blue. I could see stitching it in blue, but I feel like I want to do something else color-wise. So if you stitched it in something else, let me know. I'd be really interested. But that was my shopping. And I'm excited to try out some of the Pirate and Robin. I have some. I think I picked some up when they had a Christmas sale too. I just don't think it's come out for anything yet. So I'm really interested to give it a try and see what the flosses feel like. So that is the shopping. All right, so that is the stitching. Thank you so much for being here. If you've stuck through that long, and yeah, any opinions on Real Comfort or the whale or anything like that, I would love to know your opinions on that. Okay, so life. This weekend was Memorial Day weekend. We had, leading up, it was kind of, as I said in last week's video. Since Memorial Day weekend, it's been horrendous. But it was actually quite lovely over the 3-day weekend. Monday started to get kind of cloudy-ish, but Saturday was beautiful and Sunday was beautiful. So we had some really nice weather over the weekend. I went to the farmer's market on Saturday morning in Lewis, Delaware, which is, it was, I think there's more vendors now. So I really enjoyed that. And I felt better this weekend. And so in times past, because you have to walk a little bit from where the parking is to get to it, and then you walk around, and you know, it's on a grass field, so it's uneven, and so that's been difficult for me, but I was able to do it, and I did pretty darn good. So I was really proud of myself. And we picked up a few things, which was nice. We went and picked up some flowers for our window boxes because it's been cold, so we waited. We've realized that Vinkas are probably one of the best things for our window boxes. They do one of the best, although we've done Super Petunias before, but last year the Vinkas just took off. So we bought some of those, and on a plus, they're supposedly deer resistant, and we do have deer around here. So anytime that the deer are not going to eat the flowers is a positive. So we did that. Sunday morning, we did our bowls, and we went to the beach, and we actually brought chairs out. It was the first time this year, I think, that we sat on the beach. So that was really lovely. It was beautiful weather, not too hot, just a slight breeze. Oh, it was beautiful. And then we had friends over one of the days, and just really, really lovely. And Mo had last week off into Monday. So the poor guy has just been slammed this week with work. He is just during the day, then he goes, after we eat dinner, he goes back, does more work. He's just been really working hard. But I guess that's the the downside when you take off a week, right? I had physical therapy yesterday. That seemed to go well. We are starting to change some of the things I'm doing, taking out some things that don't work and maybe hurt a little bit and finding other ways to do it. And I do have to try to, I've been given the go ahead to do, he said 5 minutes, don't go more than that, but I can start doing a certain type of the elliptical and maybe switch that from the, the stationary bike and that kind of stuff. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll start to feel even better. And that would be awesome as we hit our stride into summer. And then I had a Zoom this week and I had just a lovely time speaking with a friend. And that was really nice on Wednesday because the weather was horrendous. It just was gray and rainy and pouring, and that cold, damp day where you don't want to step 1 foot outside. It was kind of one of those days. So it was really nice having a chat and a stitch. Today it poured overnight when I was awake last night, and now it's this weird, the clouds are out there, which is why you've got that, but it's trying to get bright, but it's not weather, which is why you've got that kind of weird light now. I think it's supposed to pour again tonight into tomorrow. And I don't remember tomorrow if it's supposed to be rainy or not. But then fingers crossed, come Sunday, we might get a nice little stretch of weather. We are no longer in a drought, so I don't want to hear about it. We are officially out of a drought. And I don't know how we couldn't have been. We have been rained on for the last, this year, 2025. So far has been a year of rain, to be honest with you. So I'm ready for some nicer weather, and it's been cold. So I'm ready for some 80-degree temperatures and some sunshine and all of that good stuff. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed I'll be nice and cheerful because it'll be sunny next Friday. So that's about it. Nothing super exciting. I am listening to a audiobook right now. It's a 20-hour book. And I liked how it started. I'm a little ambivalent now. So I want to read and listen to the whole thing before I tell you anything about it, one way or the other, because I want to kind of digest it all. I think it'll be done by the time I see you next week. So if it is, I'll talk about it next week. Because I was listening a lot to the book, I didn't see quite as much Flosstube this week, so I am a little bit behind that. But, I think that's perpetually how we all are now, right? We just take it as we go and do the best we can. And I didn't do any physical reading. I just did the listening of the book. So that's about it. That's all I got. I did pick up the second book in the Thursday Murder Club, though. So I do want to read that. I really liked the first one. I'd like to read the whole series at some point. And there was a couple, my library in their newsletter, they highlighted mysteries this month, I think. Actually, I take that back. I think you can ask them to highlight something. And then each month you get suggestions. And I saved the email because there was a couple that looked interesting. So I might try to take those out from the library. If I do, and I like them, I'll let you know. All right. That's it. That's all I got. I got nothing else. So I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. I hope things are going good where you are. And as always, please remember that you matter. You are important. And you just be you. Please just be you and enjoy that beautiful you that you are. All right. Until next time. Happy stitching.